Welcome to the story. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and support me. The sun had barely risen over New York City when the sky ripped open. An object hurtled through the clouds, blazing a fiery trail that set off car alarms and rattled the windows of nearby buildings. In a flash, it slammed into Central Park, sending a shockwave across the city that left an eerie silence in its wake. The object, a spacecraft, massive and alien, smoldered in the center of the park. Its design was unlike anything humans had seen before, a sleek combination of metal and energy, glowing with an otherworldly power. As bystanders gathered at the edges of the park, the craft opened with a hiss and a figure emerged. He stood at least 12 feet tall, his body a grotesque fusion of muscle and machinery. His skin was a dark, deep green, almost black, and it shimmered with gamma energy. His eyes, glowing with an intense yellow light, surveyed the crowd as he stepped forward, his massive boots sinking into the earth with each step. He raised a hand, and the people instinctively backed away. "I am the Galactic Giant." His voice boomed across the park, shaking the trees. "I have come to Earth to deliver a message. Your experiments with gamma energy threaten the entire galaxy. I'm here to stop you." For a moment, the crowd was frozen in shock. Then panic erupted. People screamed and scattered in every direction, their fear feeding the chaos. The Galactic Giant watched impassively, his gaze sweeping over the city, as if calculating his next move. With a single step, he strode toward the nearest skyscraper, his presence alone causing the ground to tremble. News of the aliens' arrival spread quickly, reaching the ears of Bruce Banner, who was in his lab on the outskirts of the city. The moment he saw the footage on the news, he felt the blood drain from his face. This being, whoever he was, radiated gamma energy, an energy Bruce knew all too well. "Damn it," Bruce muttered to himself, running a hand through his hair. "This can't be happening." He quickly pulled out his phone and dialed Tony Stark, but the call went straight to voicemail. The Avengers were scattered, dealing with their own crises around the world. That left Bruce to handle this threat on his own, well, almost on his own. Bruce sent a quick message to Peter Parker, knowing that the young hero was patrolling the city. Spider-Man was the only one nearby who could help, even if he was completely outmatched. As Bruce headed for the door, he could feel the familiar heat rising in his chest, the telltale sign that the Hulk was stirring. He took a deep breath, forcing himself to stay calm. He needed to keep control, at least until he had a better idea of what they were dealing with. Meanwhile, Peter Parker was swinging through the city when he heard the explosion in Central Park. His spider sense had been going off like crazy for the past few minutes, but hadn't he been able to pinpoint the source? Now, as he approached the park, he saw the crowd running in terror and the massive figure striding toward the city. "What the hell is that?" Peter whispered to himself as he landed on a nearby rooftop, his eyes wide beneath the mask. He had seen plenty of strange things in his time as Spider-Man, but this was on another level. He fired a web and swung down toward the alien, hoping to get a closer look. As he approached, the Galactic Giant stopped in his tracks and turned to face him, as if sensing his presence. The alien's glowing eyes locked onto Peter, and for a moment Spider-Man felt a wave of dread wash over him. "I don't know who you are," Peter called out, his voice shaking only slightly. "But this is not how we do things on Earth. You want to talk? We can talk. You want to smash stuff? Well, you're gonna have a bad time." The Galactic Giant tilted his head, almost curious then. With a flick of his wrist, he sent a pulse of energy toward Peter that knocked him out of the air like a rag doll. Peter hit the ground hard. The wind knocked out of him. He groaned as he struggled to his feet, his vision swimming. "Okay," Peter muttered, wincing as he clutched his side. "That hurt." Before he could regroup, his phone buzzed in his pocket. He pulled it out, still dazed, and saw Bruce's name flash on the screen. With trembling fingers, he answered. "Banner," Peter gasped. "We've got a situation." "I saw," Bruce replied, his voice grim. "I am on my way. Don't engage him, just buy some time." "Yeah, about that," Peter said, glancing up at the Galactic Giant, who was now moving toward him again. "He's not really into talking." By the time Bruce arrived, the scene in Central Park had escalated. The Galactic Giant had torn through several buildings, leaving a path of destruction in his wake. The authorities had cordoned off the area, but their efforts to stop him were futile. Bullets and missiles bounced off the alien, as thick gamma-infused skin like raindrops. Bruce parked his motorcycle at the edge of the chaos and took a deep breath. He could feel the Hulk clawing at the surface, eager to fight, but Bruce knew that this battle would require more than brute strength. Whoever this galactic giant was, he'd come to Earth with a purpose, and if they didn't figure out what that was, they were all doomed. Bruce scanned the area, quickly locating Peter, who was perched on a nearby building, his suit torn and his breathing labored. The young hero waved weakly as Bruce approached. "Glad you could make it," Peter said, his voice strained. "Sorry I am late," Bruce replied, his eyes locked on the galactic giant. "He's stronger than I expected." "No kidding," Peter muttered, wincing as he moved to sit up straighter. "Any bright idea?" Bruce studied the alien for a moment, his mind racing. The energy emanating from the galactic giant was almost identical to the gamma radiation that had transformed him into the Hulk. But there was something different about it, something unstable. "He's using gamma energy just like me," Bruce said, his tone thoughtful. "But there's a catch. I think it's killing him." Peter raised an eyebrow beneath his mask. "Killing him? He doesn't look like he's sighing." "It's subtle," Bruce replied. "But the more he uses that power, the more unstable he becomes. If we can push him far enough, his body will collapse under the strain." Peter frowned, "So we just let him tire himself out?" "No," Bruce said, shaking his head. "If he collapses, the energy inside him could explode, and at one T. Just take out New York, it could take out half the planet." Peter's eyes widened. "Okay, that's not good. So what do we do?" Bruce clenched his fists, feeling the familiar surge of power coursing through his veins. "We trap him on, I've got a plan, but it's going to take everything we've got." Before Peter could ask for details, the galactic giant turned toward them, his glowing eyes narrowing. He had heard their conversation. "You think you can stop me?" the alien growled, his voice filled with contempt. "You a mere human and this insect." Bruce felt the Hulk pushing to the surface, but he held it back for the moment. "We were going to do more than stop you," he said, his voice low and steady. "We were going to show you what it means to mess with Earth." With that, Bruce let the transformation take over. His body rippled with muscle, his skin turning a deep green as he grew larger and larger. The Hulk roared, the sound shaking the ground beneath them. Peter, still wincing from his earlier injuries, nodded grimly. "All right, big guy," he muttered to himself. He fired a web at the galactic giant, pulling himself into the fray as the Hulk charged forward. The battle was on. The Hulk barreled toward the galactic giant with the force of a freight train, fists clenched and eyes glowing with fury. The alien stood his ground, his massive arms crossed in front of him as if daring the Hulk to strike. When they finally collided, the impact was deafening, sending shockwaves through the streets of New York. Cars were flipped, windows shattered, and the ground itself trembled beneath their feet. The Hulk swung his fist in a wide arc, connecting with the alien's jaw. The galactic giant staggered back slightly, his glowing eyes narrowing in anger. Peter swung into action, his web shooting toward the alien, saw arms and legs in an attempt to immobilize him. He knew he couldn't stop the galactic giant by force, but maybe he could slow him down enough for the Hulk to gain the upper hand. As he swung overhead, he fired off quips, trying to keep his own fear in check. "So, big guy, you come here often, or is this just a one-time planet-wrecking thing?" The galactic giant growled in response, swiping at Peter with a massive hand. Peter dodged, narrowly avoiding being crushed. "Guess I'll take that as a no," he muttered under his breath. The alien, frustrated by Spider-Man, set the agility, unleashed a pulse of gamma energy that radiated out from his body in a blinding flash of green light. The force of the blast sent Peter flying backward, crashing into a nearby building with a bone-jarring thud. He slid to the ground, his head spinning, his vision blurring. For a moment, he lay there, dazed, as the world seemed to spin around him. The Hulk, unaffected by the blast, roared in response, charging again. This time, he tackled the galactic giant, wrapping his massive arms around the alien and driving him into the ground. The two titans wrestled, their sheer strength tearing up the earth beneath them. Buildings shook, cars were tossed like toys, and the ground cracked under their weight. The galactic giant snarled, using his own strength to throw the Hulk off of him. He rose to his feet, his glowing eyes fixed on Bruce, now fully in Hulk form. "You are strong," the alien said, his voice filled with grudging respect, "but strength alone will not save your world." The Hulk growled in response, lunging again. But this time, the galactic giant was ready. He caught the Hulk mid-charge, gripping him by the throat and lifting him off the ground. The Hulk thrashed and clawed at the alien's hand, but the galactic giant's grip was unyielding. Peter, shaking off his dizziness, forced himself back to his feet. His entire body ached, but he couldn't let Bruce face this monster alone. Summoning what little strength he had left, he fired a web at the alien's end, pulling himself toward the fight. Hey, ugly, you've got another problem. Peter swung in and planted both feet against the galactic giant's face, kicking with all his might. The alien flinched, but didn't he release his grip on the Hulk. That's in it. The galactic giant sneered. Is this the best your planet has to offer? But as he said those words, Bruce saw his chance. With a surge of strength. The Hulk grabbed the alien's wrist and twisted, breaking free from his grip. The Hulk dropped to the ground and immediately landed a powerful uppercut to the galactic giant's chin. The alien stumbled back, his expression a mixture of anger and pain. Peter flipped through the air, landing beside the Hulk. Okay, so maybe we not exactly Earth's best, but we've still got some tricks up our sleeve. Bruce, still in Hulk form, nodded. He's losing energy. He growled, his voice deeper and more gravelly than usual. We just have to keep pushing him. The galactic giant's eyes flared with rage. You think you can defeat me? I am the protector of the galaxy. I have conquered worlds far more powerful than this pathetic rot. Peter raised an eyebrow beneath his mask. Conquered? I thought you were here to save us from ourselves. The alien sneered. Your gamma energy is a threat to the universe. If you continue down this path, you will bring destruction to countless worlds. I am here to ensure that does not happen. Bruce's eyes narrowed, even as the Hulk. He could feel the weight of the alien's word. There was a truth to what the galactic giant was saying, but it was buried under his arrogance and aggression. Bruce knew gamma energy was dangerous, but he also knew they weren't using it to destroy worlds. This alien, however, wasn't here for negotiation. He was here to wipe out the threat. The Hulk took a deep breath, focusing his thoughts, even as the rage threatened to overwhelm him. He needed to end this and fast. Bruce growled, I am going to need your help. We can let him keep drawing power from his gamma core. It's unstable. If we can, overload it. Peter's eyes widened. Overload it? Are you serious? That could blow up half the city. Not if we contain it, Bruce replied. There's a gamma containment field in the old shield facility. If we can get him there, we can trap him inside and force the overload. Peter glanced at the galactic giant, who was glaring at them both with pure hatred. All right, I am in, but how do we get him there? The Hulk grinned. We make him follow us. Without another word, Bruce launched himself at the galactic giant again, delivering a series of quick, powerful punches. The alien staggered under the onslaught, his movements becoming slower and more sluggish with each hit. Peter darted in and out, firing webs at the alien's sides and arms, trying to keep him off balance. The galactic giant roared in frustration, his gamma energy flaring wildly. You dare challenge me? I will crush you both. Bruce and Peter exchanged a quick glance, then took off running in opposite directions. The galactic giant hesitated for a moment, unsure of who to follow. His eyes flicked between them, and finally he chose to go after the Hulk, recognizing him as the bigger threat. Bruce led the alien through the city, smashing through buildings and leaving a trail of destruction in their wake. Peter followed from above, using his webs to swing between buildings, keeping an eye on the situation. The shield facility wasn't too far, but they needed to time this perfectly. As they neared the facility, Bruce slowed down, allowing the galactic giant to catch up. The alien lunged at him, his massive fist swinging through the air. Bruce dodged at the last second, then grabbed the alien by the arm and threw him through the wall of the facility. The galactic giant crashed through the reinforced walls, landing inside the massive chamber where the gamma containment field was housed. Peter swung in, landing beside Bruce as they quickly activated the containment protocol. The field shimmered to life, trapping the galactic giant inside. The alien rose to his feet, glaring at them both with pure fury. You think this will hold me? He growled, his body glowing with gamma energy. I will destroy you all. Bruce shook his head, his voice calm. You've already lost. The more you use your power, the more unstable you become. That gamma energy inside you, is going to tear you apart. The galactic giant's eyes flickered with uncertainty for the first time. He glanced down at his hands where cracks of green light were starting to appear. No, he whispered, this can't be happening. Peter stepped forward. It's all over. You don't have to do this. You can still stop it. The alien looked at them both, his face a mixture of fear and rage. Then, with a final roar, he unleashed all the gamma energy inside him in a desperate attempt to break free. The containment field shimmered and crackled, barely holding as the alien's body began to glow brighter and brighter. Bruce and Peter exchanged a glance. They knew what was coming. The galactic giant's body was about to implode, and if the containment field failed, the explosion would be catastrophic. But then, as the energy reached its peak, the field held. The alien's sus body flickered, then collapsed in on itself with a final blinding flash of green light. When the light faded, all that was left of the galactic giant was a small glowing core of gamma energy hovering in the center of the containment field. Bruce let out a long breath, his body returning to its normal form as the Hulk receded. It's dope. Peter nodded, pulling off his mask and wiping the sweat from his forehead. Yeah, for now. They stood there in silence for a moment, watching the core of gamma energy pulse faintly inside the containment field. The threat was gone, but the alien sus warning still lingered in the air. This wasn't sure the end. It was just the beginning. Bruce turned to Peter, his face grim. We need to be ready, whatever Sci-Fi coming next. We're gonna need all the help we can get. Peter smiled, though. It didn't quite reach his eyes. Hey, that's what we do, right? Save the world? One crazy alien at a time. Bruce chuckled softly, though the weight of the battle still hung heavy in the air. As they left the facility, the sun was beginning to rise over New York once again. The city had been saved, but the scars of the battle were everywhere. And somewhere out there, in the depths of space, other forces were watching, waiting.